Hey all, I'm back again for the third installment of this first uh, test batch run for Dapper Dragons, soaps, and the Tallow version comparison. Now today's going to be with the vegan formula, and this is the signature scent Dapper Dragon. So like usual, I've had my brush soaking. I've got it to the point where it's been a couple good shakes just to get the standing water from being out, which it's now out. Just a little bit of water that's been in here, warm water sitting on the little sample that I've had. And all the samples have been approximately about the same size. This is from a puck that I already had of the Dapper Dragon signature, and so basically I just took a chunk out of it and rolled it up tight the same way I did the Tallow number 1 and Tallow number 2 samples that I've been doing. So, Dapper Dragon smells good. Okay, here we go. I got, again, because I have been shaving, just about a day's and maybe an hour or two of growth. So maybe about 26 hours worth of growth. Same thing, not putting any pressure on the soap as I lather, just continuing on. Broncos won. It's preseason, but it's football. So, here we go, just continuing on. Now the Proto Lather from a brush that's been soaked about the same amount on this guy appears to tighten up the bubbles pretty quick, whereas the Tallow 1 and the Tallow 2 were a bit airier. This one, the Proto Lather, is looking pretty nice already. And this is the vegan version. So just continuing on, and we'll see how this turns out. Since I ended up using the samples that I pressed down into this bowl with Tallow 1 and Tallow number 2, I'm going to go ahead and just load up the rest of what I pressed down into here for the vegan, as best as I can tell. I mean, as you can tell from in here, it doesn't look like it takes much of this vegan product to start generating a nice creamy lather compared to the same amount of the Tallow versions. Wow. I mean, that's, that's looking really nice. Continuing on. And I gotta say, for me to use up the rest of what's down in the bottom, which is very light right now, there's still like a skin layer of the soap that's left right now, and with the Tallow 1 and 2 it was all gone. Right now there's still a skin layer down there, and my brush is looking quite nice and loaded, but I'm going to continue on to see if I can get this. It may require me to add just a little bit more water in here just to activate the soap. And this is warm water in the basin. So let's continue on. The razor I'll be using today is going to be the Feather Artist Club non-folding with the Feather Standard blade inside of it. And like I had commented towards the beginning of the series, that blade, it has not been used since then because I've been using the other two straights, the Boker and the Tierras Assard. So those have been the only shaves that I've had in between. Alright, as you can tell, there's already a nice rich looking proto lather. The brush is loaded. I still have some skin down there in the bottom. So to get to this point with a denser lather, or denser looking proto lather anyway, it's the vegan seems to be ahead in that department over the tallows. So what I'm going to do now is just get that as much as I can and set that there. Again, there's what you got on the brush. I'm gonna wipe my face real quick. Be right back. Washed my face beforehand, so it's all ready to go. Alright, don't want a bunch of dripping, so here we go. Those of you guys that haven't tried one of Eric's Dapper Dragon soaps, look at the scent list, but don't be afraid to try the Dapper Dragon. Read it and try it out. I love it. Alright, so what I'm noticing right now is that based on the proto lather, this is feeling rich and creamy right now. Lather seems to be using that same amount, a lot denser and creamier. As you see it flying out of the brush. And it is slick, which I've commented in the standalone videos for his Dapper Dragon line before. Just very, very nice. Very good. Wow, look at that creamy goodness. Wow. Okay. Just gonna set, there's no standing water left in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So based off of what I'm seeing right now, the good cushion. Sorry, half that there as I was checking the cushion. The vegan formulation seems to take in the water and add it quickly to what's there. So perhaps a dryer brush with the Tallow versions would work, or for those that use only synthetics, you're not going to have as wet a brush anyway, so perhaps with you it would lather up. The Tallow versions would lather up a lot denser to begin with, not as many air bubbles. But I wanted to keep everything on par. Water, knowing how the brush would feel with water content inside of it, since a lot of users out there still have animal hair brushes, and particularly a lot of users still have badger hair brushes. Alright, so here we go. other hair from the brush. Gotta say though, most of the ones that are shedding are like really fine hairs, not what I would think of in a two-band knot. Very fine hairs, more like what you would find in a silver tip knot or some other type of hair type. Alright, one thing I'm noticing just touching is, like normal, the vegan formulation from Dapper Dragon leaves your skin feeling supple. So no drying out. Density of the lather has always been good. And I'll be back. I'm going to finish up going through 2.5 passes again. Alright, something to add in there, just so it's on my mind. So the tallow number 2 and the vegan seem to be about the same amount of slickness. I just did a light rinse off my face before I do my second pass, and so I just wanted to comment on that. I'll be back. Alright, so I just finished my 2.5 passes, and this is what I have left in the brush. As you can tell, lather breakdown is not bad at all, considering that I am using a straight edge to shave with, and that takes me a little bit more time than with the DE. Now, I will say that the lather felt richer to begin with at the beginning, felt tighter, denser. I am more efficient with this than I am with the other two straights that I used. So the Boker would be the least efficient time-wise. Then it would go to the Tiers Assard, and then this, as far as feel comfortable holding and moving around the face and whatnot. So it still feels like there's a good amount in the brush. As you can tell, the knot was holding water, if you saw that dripping out there, and so the knot felt the most wet this time around. Now, there's the lather. So even though there was that much water moving around in the knot, the lather itself didn't break down. Still nice and fluffy, nice and dense, creamy. Probably feels about the same as the Tallow number 2 in density right now in the hand, but on the face, that creamy level that comes from it just felt a little bit creamier to me, with the same amount of soap being used, and you know, approximately the same amount of water, same amount of soap. And that's just taking the brush, shaking it a couple good shakes, and if there's still a little bit of dripping, just a lighter shake just to get it to where when you go like this with the brush lightly, no water is coming out of it. Did that with all 3 shaves, and I gotta say that this one became the most creamy, not just fluffy, but creamy, a lot quicker than either of the tallow samples. And yeah, slickness. Slickness is probably, now that I have it here on my hands, somewhere between a little bit, maybe a little bit less than the Tallow number 2, or on par. It doesn't really seem to be a difference in the slickness, and between all three, very hard to distinguish. That's how close they are. But if I were to say, just from the way it felt with the razor, the rinsing, a good amount of slickness remains behind between both the Tallow number 2 and the vegan formulation. After you rinse, do a light rinse between each pass, I seem to have a little bit more glide going on across the face with Tallow number 2 and the vegan. Alright, so that's that. I appreciate you guys watching, and Eric, I hope this is helpful for you. In my estimation, I would say that, you know, the vegan line's right on, spot on. Perhaps there's a little bit something different that you've done in your testing environment to what you want to know from the rest of us that use it, but definitely keep the vegan formulation. Not sure, you know, to get it to that same level just based on the same amounts that I did. I don't know if I would have to use more soap in order to get that same density and creaminess from the Tallow versions, but just in that little bit of version, a little bit of sample that I did for all three, the vegan seems to hit a denser, creamier lather faster with less soap. And that's about it. Thanks everybody for watching.